Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I am bringing you guys an update, finally, to my Drytron deck profile. This just took me so long because I have been testing this out just ever since we kind of got this new support, and I've just been wanting to play test around with it as much as possible to bring you guys like as good as a deck profile as I possibly could. I've basically been using this every time we've been doing locals and whatnot. We actually did our Yu-Gi-Oh! Day tournament the other day, and I got second place with this. It was a very competitive scene. Everyone kind of showed up with like their best decks and was playing very aggressively, so I was really happy to at least take second. I did not win the Yu-Gi-Oh! Day mat, but still, second place was really awesome. But yeah, this deck is really, really great nowadays. It's like super duper powerful. The only big problem with this deck is that everyone is very prepared for it with Droll and Lockbird, Anti-Spell Fragrance, which also are both effective against Sky Strikers. So everyone is like siding, and even some people are main decking those cards. So at the moment, Drytron is just struggling a little bit, so I've been wanting to get you guys this deck profile once I was like really, really confident on how my ratios and stuff were sitting, and I think that I'm finally like really happy with this. But yeah, again, like Drytron is just still not as good as it could be because I think everybody's just super duper prepared for it, and it's like pretty easy to side against. But anyways, let's get on into this deck profile, guys. Also, I want to just give a quick announcement that I am going to be moving in with my girlfriend in our new house that we just got a while ago. So we're doing some renovations quick before we move in, but you know, so for the rest of July and a little bit into August, videos might be slowed down a little bit, but I will try my best to get upload at least 1 to 2 videos per week, and still uploading onto the Patreon and whatnot, obviously, as well. But just please try to be patient with me through the end of July. And anyways, let's get on into this profile. So we're obviously running the 3 copies of Alpha, 3 copies of Zeta. You want to see these cards in your opening hand every single duel, or at least like a variation of one of these two, along with like the Drytron Nova or like Cyber Emergency. Then, which has become like the new standard, is 2 copies of Gamma to make sure that you can get into your XZ plays, or just extra like link fodder after your turn 1 board. And then our 1 copy of the Drytron Delta. Delta is still pretty good in this deck, but I am playing Prosperity in this deck now, so he does sometimes get hurt a little bit with like his draw effect, but if you don't see your Prosperity, which you know, quite a bit of times you don't, you can still get his draw effect off, which is really, really nice. Now for the new card, the Diviner of the Herald, and this card is like as good as people hype it up to be. It is super duper good. It is now your new normal summon, and I think that people who play against Drytron really breathe a sigh of relief that now that people are playing the Diviner, we no longer need to play the Vanity's Ruler, because this is now your normal summon for the deck. So now basically nobody's playing Vanity's Ruler, because when this card is normal summoned or special summoned, you're able to send 1 fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, and so then you get off really nice extra deck plays. And there's even been like a select few times in testing that I've ended up tossing a fairy monster from main deck when I wanted to get off Natasha's effects. You can even send like your Cyber Angel Ida 10 from your main deck to the graveyard, which is kind of cool. Or you can even send stuff like Ava. Then we have our 3 copies of Herald of the Orange Light, and now for the update, we are playing 2 copies of Ava. This is really, really strong now, actually, because with this, you're able to add, when you get Ava off, you're able to add 2 copies of, like, 1 of each of your Orange Light and your Diviner of the Herald. And then let's say that you've already gone through, like, if you open in your opening hand, like, your two of your Diviners, or something like that, and then like you added the 3rd to your hand, or like you drew into it or something, you can still just dump the 2nd Ava to the graveyard later and just pick up a Herald of the Orange Light. So like there's still ways that you can still, like, you don't always have to pick up 2, you can still just pick up the single, which is very nice. Then 1 copy of Lancia. This is maybe, if you want, this is a 41 card deck, but if you wanted to make it a solid 40, you could maybe get rid of the Lancia, but I still really, really like it. My logic for the Lancia is that you know, I've had duels against like Eldritch, and even people are still playing Tri-Brigade. That's, believe it or not, Tri-Brigade is actually what won our Yu-Gi-Oh! Day event. Guy who's just super duper super good with the deck. Shout out to Michael for that one. He really stunned me in the last round. But Lancia is just super duper good against those decks that really require banishing. And so instead of getting off a single negate by getting rid of a fairy from your hand, you can just pitch Lancia, and that might end up like negating or disrupting several plays that your opponent has, which is really cool. So this can sometimes be like a 2, 3, 4 time negate or disruption on your opponent. Obviously, for the Cyber Angel engine, we want to play 1 copy of Benton, the 1 Ida-10, and I will never not play Natasha in this deck because Natasha is so darn good. Since I've been testing, I would say Natasha has won me so many games. It is insane. It's actually even really nice against like decks like Salamangrate, where they try to get out like the big beefy access code talker, and if you can end up stealing something, like I've done it where I've stolen Nibiru off of the Natasha, increase your life points, and if you can get that off like once or twice and you're in kind of a grindy game, you increase your life points like to a threshold that is higher than what access code talker or like Borrelsword Dragon or something could finish you off with. Natasha is really nice. You just increase your life points and then you're past the threshold of when your opponent can OTK you. And obviously you get to steal a monster, which is dope. Then we have our 1 copy of Herald of Ultimateness and the 1 Meteonis Drytron. This card is really cool because you can pair it with the XZ monster, which we will get to in a minute, but it's also just really nice. It's a 4,000 attack beater, which can easily just like close out games if you can't extend into like a good rank 4 play like Access Code Talker. Then we have our 3 copies of Drytron Nova. This card is just super duper good for getting out a Drytron to your field, along with the 1 copy of Drytron Fafnir and the 2 copies of Meteonis Drytron. If you guys don't understand this, the reason why a lot of people are dropping the Drytron Fafnir down to 1 or sometimes even 0 copies is because of the fact that if you activate the Fafnir and your opponent has Droll, then like you add the Drytron Nova to your hand, and then your turn is just done. Like you add, like you can still activate the Nova and you can special summon something out, but after that, then like you still just can't add stuff to your hand. So it's nice to like get out the, do the Nova, special summon something to the field, get off your Drytron Guy's effect, and maybe you can add a fairy or something that will add onto your Herald of Orange Light, and then you can maybe stop something like Droll. You're going to hear me say stuff like about Droll a lot in this video, but I think like hitting the Droll is super duper important. That's why you always play 3 Orange Light, and you want to play enough fairies. That way if you have orange and a fairy in your hand, you can always stop the Droll if it comes up. Then we have our 3 copies of Cyber Emergency, and now onto the 2 ofs. I play quite a bit of 2 ofs. 2 of the Preparation of Rites. I dropped this down from 3 to 2, and the reason is because it's super duper easy to get into your ritual spell, your monsters, and the added bonus of this card to add the ritual spell is really awesome, but it's kind of one of those win more effects where it's like, yeah, it's awesome if you get this off, because then you can end up actually ritual summoning 3 or maybe even 4 or 5 times, depending on how your turn is going. If you like get out the Ida-10 and you draw into both of your ritual spells, you can actually ritual summon 5 times, which is nuts. But you really don't need to do that. So like Preparation of Rites is awesome, but the bonus effect that you get off of it is just sort of a win more effect that it's just nicer to see other cards sometimes. Then we're playing 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet and then 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity. When I added in the Prosperities, that was when I realized I could kind of put Droplet down to 2. You don't always need it with this deck, but it is nice as a going second option to be able to break through boards. And whatever you send off, like if you send off some Drytron names, it really doesn't matter to you. And then Pot of Prosperity is just super duper crucial for drawing into stuff like Forbidden Droplet or copies of your Called by the Grave and Instant Fusion in order to stop stuff like, again, Droll and Lockbird, or Instant Fusion with the Millenniumized Restrict can even stop stuff like Nibiru. And then 1 copy of Foolish Burial. This is just still super nice to pitch an Ava to the graveyard or even just any of the Drytron names. And these are all ways that you can still just sort of weasel around the Droll and Lockbird. So sort of all of these cards are in here to like sort of disrupt your opponent's stuff and be able to help break through their board or get around their disruptions. But that's it for the 41 card main deck. I think it's really solid and it has been performing really well. Let's get on into the extra deck now. So we have our 1 copy of the new Drytron Mu Beta Fafnir, and this card is just amazing. It is like lit city, because this card here, when you summon it, you get a Foolish Burial effect for any Drytron name. You just pitch it to the graveyard, and there's been even times where I've pitched the Ritual Monster. If you have like all of the main deck guys in the graveyard already or in your hand, you can just pitch the Ritual Monster, and then if you need the Ritual Monster to get out onto the field, that's just another way that you can like easily, you know, get it out of the deck and just get into that resource. And then also it has a quick effect, negate effect if you have the Ritual Monster on the field, and then also you can detach materials from it in order to ritual summon, which is just amazing. Like this card, it is just so good because it keeps the advantage on your field. If you guys just don't understand the concept of what this does, is that you XZ summon, and instead of your XZ materials, you know, like being useless, like there's like you went into a new monster, but you still have the ritual materials. It's just so good. It is so darn good. One copy of Fucho. This is just really in here for if you get drolled. It's just like really nice. Like unless your opponent has a kaiju, there's really not much that they can do to stop the Fucho. Then we have one copy of Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal, and of course our AA Zeus. You do still go into this every now and then, and it's just a really nice resource in the extra deck. The extra deck in here is a bit tight, but I still really think that AA Zeus is really great to have in here. Then for our targets to send off of our Diviner of the Herald, we have 2 Herald of the Arclight and 1 Elder Entity Natis. Natis is in here really for if you're going second. For our instant fusion target, we have our Millennium Eyes Restrict, along with Link Karibo and Relinquished Anima. These cards like all pair together really, really well, and I have no idea why people are dropping Relinquished Anima from their list. Since I've been messing around with this deck again, ever since like the new Lightning Overdrive support came out, I've still used Relinquished Anima to really great success, and it's just really amazing. A lot of people are testing around with Salamangrates again nowadays, and if you can just like, if your opponent gets out the Sunlight Wolf, you can just summon Anima to its zone. Obviously, they're going to get the effect off of with the Sunlight Wolf, but then you can just steal it, and then you don't have to like deal with that anymore, or you can just use this to like, I've done it a lot with the Sunlight Wolf. You just summon this out, and then your opponent has to like use the Rage or the Roar in order to stop the Anima. So I think that it's really, really powerful in order to just sort of like bait out that disruption. Then just to like move on a little bit quickly here, we have 1 IP Masquerena and then a small little Nightmare engine in here. The Nightmares work really great with the Link Karibo because with the Phoenix, you can just, you know, you can co-link and then like destroy some stuff and draw again. Again, if you don't use the Pot of Prosperity, 1 Appaloosa, and then 1 Access Code Talker. So that's pretty much it for the main and extra deck. I'll just show you guys my side for what I did in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Day tournament. So just really quickly, I have obviously 3 copies of Nibiru. This is just still pretty standard for what you want to play nowadays, along with 3 copies of Droll for the mirror match and just any other deck that it like really, really well applies to. Then to finish off, like if you're going up against Dino or just anything that banishes a lot, the other 2 copies of Artifact Lancia. There are times where I've sided in all 3 copies just for decks that I'm really, really afraid if they're going to banish. The last copy of Forbidden Droplet, just if you really, really need that 3rd copy. Then just to get rid of spells and traps, we have our 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. A lot of people are now playing like Anti-Spell Fragrance and whatnot, so you really do need to be having these in your side deck at least. Then just other stuff, I couldn't really think of what else to fit in here. So 1 copy of Red Reboot, 1 copy of Gadarla, and then lastly 1 copy of the Beta Rastaban, because he's actually pretty good to play, especially if your opponent's playing like the Cycle Reader. So it's just really nice to have in here as an option, and your side deck isn't super duper tight. So I think that there is definitely space for the Beta, but anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for this deck profile. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I've been messing around with this deck a lot lately. So, again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys are interested in more competitive and budget deck profiles. Again, some of the videos are going to be a little bit slow for the next month, but don't worry, guys. I will still be doing as much uploading as I can while I'm making the big move in with my girlfriend. So, thank you guys again so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.